I was just talking to one of my clients, and as I was talking to him, I couldn't hear him very well. And he's someone that sometimes doesn't talk a lot. And and as I was listening to him, I realized that two things he was doing. One was he was sort of swallowing his voice, and also kind of being quiet with his voice, like not projecting it. And as we talked, what I realized was happening was that he had been taught, like so many of us, to be quiet when we're kids. How many times have you heard, be quiet, stop making that noise, shut up, from some well meaning parent who was probably a little stressed out, right? And how many times has that lashing out cause you to stop being loud and to stop expressing yourself? And what is such a shame with this is that kids are meant to make noise. They're meant to explore their bodies. They're meant to explore their voice. They're meant to explore life and to be embodied in who they are. And so when a child is allowed to express themselves, to make noise, encouraged to make noise, something wonderful happens in their lives, and they become empowered, and they become free, and they become confident, and they are able to move forward in their dreams, and people respond to them in a deeper and better way because these people really can hear them and get them. So there's a deeper connection that's possible. Now, I did not grow up like that. I also got yelled at, and I know most everybody I know has gotten yelled at for being loud. And so I used to talk a little more in my throat and a little more quiet. But I've done work for myself, and it's healed it. Some of it is physical work, but there's more psychological or emotional work that needs to be done. For example, with my client, he had real trauma, as he was a little child, 3, 4 years old, and someone's yelling at telling him to stop making that noise. He got this, you know, can't breathe feeling of stress that starts to go through his whole little body. And then when people start to use their voice, that feeling of stress comes forward right again. And so they get this marriage. You can get this marriage in a negative way of speaking clearly, speaking loudly, and stress. And so this is something that I've worked with on a lot of my clients and with myself to help people open up their voice, because the voice is as much a part of you as the way you look, as your thoughts, as your body, as your spirit. It's such a big part of who you are, and it is the channel through which you can communicate. So, so some of the things you can do is, first, identify if you've had any kind of trauma from somebody, I'm sure, who loved you and just didn't know, or who was treated the same way, who got mad at you for making some noise, especially when you're a kid, or even a boss. Currently can happen from, if it's something that somebody's got a sense of hierarchy towards you, or you feel a sense of lower hierarchy towards them. I don't even know if that makes sense, but if you feel lower than them and they're a boss, let's say, or a teacher, and they're saying, hey, be quiet, don't make noise, stop distracting the class, stop distracting the group, whatever they're doing. If they're doing that kind of stuff, just recognize first if you have that kind of trauma. And if you have it, you need to find a way to make sure that it gets resolved, so that you can take a new perspective into speaking clearly and speaking with power and with freedom and with love. And the second thing I would say to do is always breathe into your diaphragm. So when you breathe into your diaphragm, your air is carrying your voice almost like it's on a magic carpet ride. And so when you need to, when your voice starts to go, that's a sign that you're not using your air to support your breath. So breathing into the diaphragm, excuse me, so breathing into the diaphragm and making sure that you are paying attention that your breath is carrying your voice. The third thing that you can do is to make sure that you drink a ton of water. Water goes through your whole system before it gets to your vocal cords. So your vocal cords are usually like the last part of your system that gets water. This is, it's actually a filter. I use this bottle. I'm sorry, Voss. I love Voss also, but I use the bottle for, to kind of monitor how much I'm drinking. And it is noonish my time. And I have had 4 of these so far today. And I'm going to have a little right now. And other liquids are not the same as water. So if you have, let's say, a juice, that's not going to do the same thing. In fact, the juice has so much sugar, and the sugar isn't good for you, so you don't want juice. Sodas won't do the same thing. Water, just plain, hopefully filtered water is what can really also help your voice. But in addition to that, like the most important thing is clearing the emotional blocks about speaking, about helping people hear what you really need to say, about allowing people to see you and to hear you and to get you. And once you clear that, uh, you're going to be so much better. But part of the problem is that people don't even know that they have these kind of traumas stored because it was an automatic decision before you're sort of conscious when you're 3 or 4 years old, and you just say, oh yeah, I better not make any noise. And so you get this association of no breath and panic when you start to make any kind of noise, including just speaking. So that's one of the things that can block people, is that you're not even aware that you have an unconscious block about your voice. And most people don't even hear their own voice. They're not aware of how their voice sounds. So they don't even have an awareness of looking in that area as a way to see if that might be like a doorway into healing some deeper issue in their body or in their life, releasing some unconscious blocks. And part of the reason it's so difficult is because unconscious blocks are unconscious, hence the name. And it often takes somebody outside of you who hopefully is very kind, very loving, and very perceptive, and also knows a way to help you heal from it, because it doesn't do any good to say, oh, you have this problem, and then they don't have a way to help you heal it. You need someone who is really going to be able to let you know you've got this issue and help you understand how to do it. And so what I did with my client was 2 things. Once, I helped him to understand the same sort of things that I'm talking with you about. And then we go deeper. We go deeper into his past, and we help heal it on a very deep and sweet and tender level of consciousness. And so he ends up getting this power and this freedom and this new sense of himself. It's actually like getting, a whole new wardrobe in a way, because your voice is as much, it carries who you are on it. So if you have had any kind of unconscious blocks that you're aware of, or if you feel like your voice is not the kind of voice that you really want, if it's a voice that doesn't feel resonant, or if it doesn't feel open, or if it doesn't feel like you can express yourself fully, then reach out to me. you can send me an email at karenlorre@me.com. That's KarenLorre, Karen Lorre at me.com. KarenLorre@me.com. And I'd feel happy to send you a free digital copy of my first book, Chronic Pleasure, which is actually right here. And Chronic Pleasure is a book that can help you. Although I will say that this client that I'm working with has already read Chronic Pleasure, and that didn't, even reading it, I mean, it's a great book. I would highly suggest it. It's been endorsed by Deepak Chopra on the cover, and Bruce Lipton on the back, and Gay Hendricks, and so many beautiful people have endorsed this book, and so many people have let me know that they get tremendous benefit from it. So, just reach out to me, and I'd feel happy to send it to you for free. Again, that's at KarenLorre@me.com, KarenLorre@me.com. And then in the meantime, um, just be really aware of your voice. Drink as much water as you can. That can really be a huge thing. And start, I don't want you to overwater yourself, but drink enough water that's healthy, so don't go too much water, but definitely you can drink more than most people drink. And just start with that, and then practice the breathing. And if those two things help, fantastic. If you're able to acknowledge and find any unconscious blocks and then heal them, then do that for yourself, or find someone who can help you. If you need deeper help, reach out to me. I also will, in addition to sending you my book, if it feels right, I would feel happy to have a free consultation with you and see if I can help. But in the meantime, just try these things. Try being aware if you have any emotional reasons for not expressing yourself. Try using your breath with your air and breathing down into your diaphragm. And try drinking a ton of water. I hope this helps. Again, this is Karen Lorre. I adore you.